Turn to ban.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Beyond the Summit presentation, bringing you guys a game from the Dota 2 Super League. This is Tongfu versus Vici Gaming. This is game 2 out of the best of 3. We're going to see Tongfu take the first game here, a very, very strong strategy overall, and some great aggression, some great pick-off style with a lot of disables, and made it work very, very effectively, even up against the ZSMJ Gyrocopter. So nice game for them here, and seeing what Vici Gaming is going to answer back with. So starting things off, we see similar bans from last time around taking out the Wisp, but this time around the Shadow Demon and the Anti-Mage have been the heroes to be taken off the board, so a little bit more diverse style there, and Tongfu is the one to pick up the Gyrocopter first pick. Interesting style there. Anyways, I myself am Blaze, and casting it up with Vikramon. How's it going, man?
Hey, it's going well. I just had to turn off my air conditioner so that it isn't super loud on stream, but that does mean that I will sweat into a small puddle this game. But I'll do my best nonetheless.
I hate casting while it's just birding up, but, you know, has to happen sometimes.
No, it's okay, it's okay. So, Tongfu VG. VG got kind of wrecked the first game. I just feel like they didn't do anything to stop Tongfu from enacting their plan. And I think they can still do better in game 2. I mean, this is a team that honestly, just destroyed LGDCN in the debut game of the Dota Super League, and they lead the group right now. They have 2 wins and 1 loss. Tongfu has 0 wins and 1 loss. So all VG have to do is, I think, play the game they want to play, and they'll do well. But I do like that Tongfu actually secured the Gyrocopter with their first pick, because like I said, Gyrocopter and Clockwork have been key to their success.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting breakdown the draft. We do get to see Magnus picked up here and has a lot of potential if they can get the right synergy off, but he is up against kind of a couple different difficult things that can limit his potential there. Of course, Batrider with the Flame Break can actually knock him away from his objective or can put his Blink Dagger on cooldown. The Rubik can spell steal from him. Clockwork can put cogs in the mix of things, so Skewer is not a good way of positioning oneself. And yeah, it just really makes it very, very difficult to get him to get in the right position. But it's all about team coordination and making sure you get the right place there. And fortunately, they do have the follow-up. If they do get a good reverse polarity, Gyrocopter is most certainly going to be there to dish out the AoE damage with a good call-down flat cannon.
Yeah, I just really like Tongfu's draft here, honestly. Magnus, I would say, one of Moo's better heroes in addition to Clockwork. We've had excellent reverse polarities by him in the past. They get the Gyrocopter that they like so much. The Lone Druid performed excellently last game. Possibly this time an off-lane Lone Druid rather than a safe lane, but nonetheless a very, very strong hero. One of the strongest in the pool. VG have chosen in both games to take away Hao's Anti-Mage, and I really feel like a second ban that isn't Anti-Mage would have served them better. They do get the Clockwork back, so could be XTT on this again, could even be CTY on the clock and XTT on the bat. That's a nice little thing where they, it's a nice little subtlety to their drafting where they haven't revealed who's on which hero yet. So that's nice. I don't know about the Anti-Mage ban versus something like Gyrocopter or Lone Druid, but we'll have to see how it plays out in the second phase. I feel like both teams have a pretty good draft so far.
So now banning out Visage and Doombringer. That's something that I wouldn't expect to be coming on through into Phase 2, but of course it was something that we saw very actively in the draft last time around. So those heroes being taken out as kind of the number 4 role to an extent, and Tongfu focusing on taking out the number 1 heroes, Luna, Alchemist, and the Juggernaut. Just trying to take out options for ZSMJ as far as trying to play aggressive, but still farm, as he would intend to do so. Anyways, with that, it's difficult to compete with the Gyrocopter because Luna and Alchemist are definitely heroes that go toe-to-toe with them, and then Juggernaut changes the pace of the game with his pushing mentality. But yeah, with Gyrocopter now on the board for Tongfu and not really a great response for Vici Gaming, they might have to go for something a little bit less orthodox, but they still have plenty of options in the pool.
Yeah, 2 quick things. I think you'll see Visage bans in the second phase much more often in the next month or so. Visage is getting really, really good and really strong. But now that Visage is banned out, they take Keeper of the Light, whom Visage, I wouldn't say hard counters, but it is a good counter to. So this is a really smart pickup for Tongfu again. I'm loving these drafts coming out of them. So the Doom is just really a respect ban. The Visage is more, I would expect to see lots of Visage bans. But Tongfu's banning strategy also so strong, taking out almost every good mid-game carry between Vici's bans and Tongfu's bans. Also, the primary hard carry that ZSMJ plays these days, which is the anti-mage, got taken out by Vici. So now they're forced into a very non-traditional posture. We actually saw ZSMJ on Storm in the series against LGDCN, so maybe we'll see that script flipped and they pick up the Storm Spirit here, but maybe not. I don't know. I think you're right that the hero that ZSMJ picks up will have a big impact on how this game goes.
Thinking that Tongfu, of course, they're running out with their supports now. They're going to pick up the Keeper Light. I think, at least in a common Western scene, you'd be seeing right now the Bane pick up to follow along with that. Going ahead and making sure that you have the setup to make sure that the Illuminate and the Barrage will do the maximum possible damage, especially if it's like an offlane Clockwork. That's great potential to lock him down. So it's kind of what I would expect and what VC Gaming is a little bit concerned about. But at this stage, Bane, unfortunately, does not work into their own drafting style. They have the Rubik, the Clockwork, the Batrider, and so they can benefit to some extent from Bane's setup, but as a whole, it's not what they want to select. So they're going to go here with the Darkseer, get a lot more AoE initiation, but if Tongfu wants the Bane, they certainly have it here, and that could be just perfect to finish off their lineup as a kind of a traditional role set.
The Darkseer is an interesting pick because this sort of throws their lanes for a loop. They can still do an enormous amount of different stuff. So both Darkseer and Clockwork can be run in the Tri, potentially. Batrider can be run in off lanes, mid lane, jungle. You can run the Clock mid, you can even run the Darkseer mid. Probably not Darkseer mid, but they have a lot of options here. The flip side is, I just think Tongfu's lineup is so dangerous and so strong. They've got multiple stuns, so they can do something like the Stormbolt, obviously from the support Sven. The Gyrocopter can follow it up with maybe one rank of homing missile. They do go for the PL, so this is obviously one of ZSMJ's best-known heroes from sort of the 2011 and before era. He used to get insanely fast item pickups on this PL, but I have never seen him on it since his return.
Well, there you go.
Usually, I like to see ZSMJ on earlier carries, just because I feel like the hard carries, it's not quite as impressive. But it's what he's known for, like, legendarily in the past, so who knows?
Yep, so timing of Sacred Relic, call it.
Oh man, if he goes Sacred Relic, I don't know, man. I really hope he does not go Sacred Relic. So I refuse to acknowledge that question, much less provide an answer for it.
Okay, fine. Timing of Sacred Relic number 2.
What, for the Abyssal?
Obviously,
the
obviously.
PL Abyssal.
No, I don't know. In this, I think they're going to put out some pressure. They see the Fanged Lancer. They realize that he's strong with his nukes, but if he doesn't have the mana to support it without a coddle, it's something they could actually kind of squelch out a little bit. So they're going to put pressure on, possibly down in the bottom lane here. If they do, that gives Hao a safe lane. And, of course, then they can go for our hardcore Krylan. This is going to be a supportive Sven, picking up the wards and such. Actually going for an attempt on first blood here. They're going to charge up the Illuminate body blocks from the bear and from Sven. He pops off an Iron Shield just to do some damage in turn, but he knows he's going to fall. Too many people in the right position. There is going to be the first blood drawn by Hao. So starting him off nicely, he can pick up already the Orb of Venom or Boots pretty early on. So in a great position in his lane. And along with that, of course, popping off a couple clarities. They're going to start going to work, possibly block. Yeah, they're dropping some wards to block off the jungle if the Darkseer did try to opt for the jungle himself, or the Batrider for that matter. So they've got 2 observers up. That's 6 full minutes of warded jungle unless they go ahead and drop some sentries on top of that, which, as far as I know, they could not afford based on their composition. No, they do have, FY has a couple sentries available, so we'll see if he uses them to any great effect. But for right now, Darkseer are going to have a very rough time in the jungle, and more importantly, down in bottom, ZSMJ is going to be pushed hard. King J here with the Gyrocopter, of course, but 2 supports relatively close at hand. Banana on the Keeper Light and Sansheng messing around in the jungle with Fenrir.
Blaze, they have every single camp on the map blocked. Or rather, every camp in the Radiant Jungle is blocked. All of them. So Banana used a body block to clear out the first, and then Sansheng, oh man, and they're going to get the sentry here. They have a sentry on the Magic Bush. So they have every single camp block. This is horrible for VG. I'm incredibly concerned about their draft. I feel like the Tri-Lane isn't strong enough. The Darkseer is going to be a non-factor. So because of the way that they picked their heroes, they had to have a jungle Darkseer, which meant they had to do Ion Shell first. They couldn't do Surge first. And that's what led to the first blood. And now where is he going to find
Dire
cover? I
jungle.
guess he has to move to the Dire jungle, but it's just so vulnerable, and it leaves the Tri-Lane even more, I don't know. I'm really, really scared for VG that they could just get blown out early.
Yeah, I mean, the Darkseer will find his farm. He's been delayed about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, but the big thing here is by him having 0 presence, rather than a very small amount of presence on the bottom lane, it means literally it's a 2 versus 3, and ZSMJ is just not going to be able to benefit from the late game carry potential of Phantom Lancer if he can find that farm. He's one of the more item-reliant heroes, and has a huge damage potential. Right now, we're not going to be seeing it for a very significant portion of the game. There's going to be a lot of lockdown. We see some rotation. Sancheng going to cover up the bottom rune for the mid Howl, but either way, in this position here, it looks very, very bad for ZSMG. He's now sitting out at 0-0, just trying to survive on the lane rather than find the CS, and at best they can find maybe a courier stipe with the ground courier moving out up top, but Fenrir just stacking it up, iron shelling things down. And yeah, it's going to get worse and worse. Sancheng and Viz in the mid lane, looking for a stun as CTY has all the opportunity in the world to wait it out. Has a full, like, about 20 more seconds at least before he has to initiate. But he's actually making a move up top.
Yeah, I don't see how they actually kill CTY even after the stun, is the thing. They don't have the damage quite yet for Lone Druid, so he's just going to go up. He could get Fenrir. He's going to find Fenrir. This is, oh man, I hate to get fatalistic, Blizz, but this is tough to watch. This is going to be so painful for Darkseer.
Yeah, right-click, stun, couple more right-clicks. This is possibly the kill right here. He does surge away. Oh, Sancheng could have waited another second. Unfortunately, will not find the kill. Magnus coming with the shockwave, though, will actually lock him down. That was a perfect high ground to low ground skewer, shockwave completely on point, and yeah, very, very well worth their time.
Tongfu, I mean, the draft in this game was just so smart, and they've created advantageous positions in pretty much every single lane. Basically, in the absence of a strong tri-lane, and this is the absence, I mean, ZSMJ has 3 last hits, then 19 and 7 from King J. So in the absence of that, the game has to be carried by excellent initiation from XTT Batrider and CTY Clockwork. And CTY Clockwork is very, very strong, but the thing is that Tongfu have manipulated the lanes in such a way that he's up against a Lone Druid who will soon hit 5, which is also a tough matchup for Clockwork. So they're basically at an advantage in every lane. You can see that Sancheng is almost permanently up here now, just to threaten the Batrider, because this 2 with Banana and King J can win against CSMJ and FY. Like, you can see just how much they're pressuring them. Fenrir actually down here now, but what's the Darkseer going to do?
Yeah, it's very, very difficult because he's in this position where he can harass out the Keeper Light a tiny little bit, but most importantly, he's not farming. He thought maybe there was just the camps were blocked off by sentries and such. He's actually going to body block the only camp that would spawn, so in this situation, he's just not going to find anything in the jungle but one little central camp that's, I mean, Hellbears. What are you going to do as a Darkseer against that? It's just he's wasting his time, he's moving about, he's contributing nothing, and it's going to be a long, long time before we actually see a good rank in Vacuum and Wall of Replica, so very limited teamfight potential for him for a very long time, and he's also wasting time just scouting out all these camps, hoping that one of them was sentried, but observers were committed to each and every one.
Yeah. I don't think any of the heroes in that tri-lane for VG are going to get what they need. XCT could be in trouble top as well, just because we do have a level 3 Sven lurking. They're going to try to find the right timing to try to jump on him. But Fenrir is just going to be stuck. I don't see FY finding his levels very quickly, and ZSMJ is not going to find his farm. And that means it has to be CTY and XTT somehow pulling this out. Maybe they can, maybe it's possible, but it's a lot rests on their shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just so difficult to have any presence here. Even dropping down a Sentry Ward in the one place that wards are not. Their entire jungle is papered with them. But finding it out in this position, they thought they had vision, but honestly, they just had a good understanding of the general position from Fenrir and going to be able to avoid that. There is going to be a pull away, some Iron Shell damage to bring down exactly one neutral creep, but Fenrir is sitting at level 2, and that's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah. I don't even know. Looking up, even if ZSMJ finds some farms, so if they start rotating CTY and XTT over once they hit level 6 and clear out this tri-lane and try to put the pressure back, ZSMJ is going to start slow, and honestly, I don't know how strong a PL is in the mid to early late game in this, just because there's a Gyrocopter and a Sven who can pick up cleave just for a little more damage, and the Bear can pick up some cleave as well, and I just feel like those PL illusions, until he gets really, really farmed, will just be picked off quickly in a fight. And in the absence of big PL damage, what else do they do?
So their saving grace right now is CTY having his level 6 already. CTY, amazing clockwork. I don't want to rag on XTT's Clockwork whatsoever, but CTY, I've seen him play it and has a lot more potential on that hero from what I've seen at least. So they do have a double damage run on him, their ultimate up and available, and if they want to engage, they do kind of have a 4v3 situation, but can only be out of the lane for so long before, of course, Tongfu is just going to pull back too suspicious. Up on top lane, we do see actually Batrider going to get a kill here. Moo does pop off that reverse polarity, trying to turn around for the shockwave, but there's one more right click from XTT. It's a 1-for-1 trade with the Batrider, picking up the first kill, getting the full experience from that.
That was actually pretty nice.
Oh, CTY in the mid lane, he has Iron Shell active, will be able to pick off this bear with Battery Assault and Cogs. And I believe he resummoned it recently now. He is going to be able to resummon it immediately, but costing him a decent chunk of HP, and now it's on cooldown.
Yeah, that was nice from CTY, but the problem is, look at this pressure bot.
Yeah.
Like, FY completely pushed all the way into the jungle. CSMJ just rotating around. They may actually be able to find something here, but FY's dead.
Yeah, easy pick off there. Barrage, stun, no problem at all. Coming on in, though, Firefly Vision. They're going to do some damage here. Harassment to Sansheng with the Napalm. Going on through, they're going to focus him down hardcore while ZSMD distracts them on the left side. CTY trying to get up to the battery cell, not just accomplishing it just yet, but King J just a little too fast. There's a flame break to put him right back in the battery cell in the cogs. Beautiful play from XTT and CTY, cleaning up a second kill here and netting it 4-4. It's not enough to bring them fully back into the game, as there is such a CS disadvantage for the Phantom Lancer and experience disadvantage for the Darkseer, but it certainly helps.
That was very, very nice. I mean, like we were talking about, the plays have to come from CTY and XTT, and right there the plays came. Tongfu were feeling massively overconfident, just sitting under the tier 1 tower, and Batrider and Clockwork rotate over. Excellent flame break to push King J back into the Clockwork for the cogs. Just fantastic play from the Batrider and the Clockwork there. The thing is, they're going to need a lot more of that. So, good start. Do that again like 10 times, and you've won this game.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're just going to keep their persistence up. They have a lot of potential with this Iron Chill active on CTI. Even if it's only a couple points in, we've seen it get a couple kills already. And I think they want to keep on using that combo a little bit. As Darkseer is one fallen behind as far as levels, he really can't stay on the front line and use his own Iron Chill on himself the way he'd prefer to. So we're just seeing it on other heroes like Batrider right here. Jumping in on How, gets the lasso, pulls him up on the high ground. One single Napalm, second Napalm coming through. Flame Break is perfect. And there's going to be the damage from the Firefly and the Iron Chill. A single stun to try to help him out, but he is just caught in the fire and the flame, and is going to be locked down.
You're saying that he couldn't get through the fire and the flames?
Unfortunately, could not.
It's too bad. It's too bad. But this is nice. I mean, CSMJ still has basically nothing, but the flip side is that they're picking off these critical targets. So now a kill on King J, a kill on How. It's very, very nice. And so in all the lanes, they've gotten the kills they need. The only thing is, still the GPM for Phantom Lancer not quite there, but he has participated in 2 kills. That does raise him to about where Clockwork is at, if not to the dizzying heights of 277 GPM that the Magnus is pulling down.
So significant disadvantage for gold. We thought 2,000 going the way in favor of Tongfu, and now it's only 1,000. And the experience has risen actually in favor of Vici just because of these past couple kills. XTT, these flame breaks are so freaking on point. I was bashing his Clockwork just a little bit ago, and I gotta apologize for that, because honestly the flame breaks are just perfect. Like, every single one of them has successfully net a kill, and it's just amazing that he's been able to be so precise. Now, it's so difficult to land that kind of ability, not only getting it so that it hits, of course, but getting it so that it hits in the right angle, so it knocks him into the perspective you want, and he has just been 100% on point, just playing darts, bullseye, locking him down, and getting the kills. So that's really, really been contributing to the team as a whole. They will lose top tier 1, unfortunately. Down at bottom, they lose the tier 1 there as well. But coming on in, they get the lasso off on King J, and they should be able to bring him down. Call down will fly, will do some damage, but he's still going to drop down, and Sansheng with him. So really, really good movement there. Didn't even have to commit the hook shot. Used the lasso just for good measure. But unfortunately, they did lose not only the Rubik, but 2 towers in the process. And so that was kind of a limiting factor there, where Tongfu is still going to be very well ahead on gold.
VG are not in a position yet where they can contest towers. That's absolutely true. How is going to be able to push down towers just because, you know, Lone Druid, that's what he does. And then if Tongfu concentrate their forces, it's just difficult for VG to defend towers. The good news, XTT has this team on his back right now. 4-1-2, very fast Blink Dagger. He picked it up at around 9 minutes, and you immediately saw it being put to work by picking off King J. Now 2 deaths on this gyrocopter, so his development has substantially slowed down. Keep in mind, he's only level 6, so he's actually 2 levels behind where ZSMJ is now. This PL, just by virtue of sitting around while other people get kills, has leveled very well.
That's really, really funny, actually. Like, yeah, he's been able to contribute very little. I mean, he wasn't forced off the lane. He still was getting full creep experience. experience. But yeah, it's been all about these assists that come into play, and him just being in close proximity. He will find his cash, his experience one way or another, and it just happens to be on the backs of his allies here. We do see some good warding from Tongfu, still active at whereabouts on the bottom. That means that they're not going to be able to get a flanking gank up on King J, and he still feels confident in his position here to farm up his Drum of Endurance and just keep on flat hitting down the creep wave. But as a whole, if they can't get one gank in this position, they'll find an opportunity somewhere else. CTY with that Invisrune finally popped out, but a Sentry Ward in the mid lane does scout him out, so Magnus fully aware of it and just kind of playing games with him right now.
Yeah, they know exactly where CTY is. If CTY actually gets this kill, they have no one but themselves.
Oh, there's the creeps.
Yep. That's pretty funny. So Tongfu, I mean, massively out-strategizing VG in this game, but VG just with amazing individual play so far has been able to compete. And if they win this game, this is going to be a big loss for Tongfu, like, psychologically, just because, like, oh my god, we had the game won, and then somehow it slipped away just with some crazy plays. So we're going to have to keep watching it. I still feel like Tongfu have an advantage. Oh, man, nice response.
Oh, going on in. We do see the lasso up on Moo, doing a lot of damage there, but the reverse polarity locks him into a full Illuminate connecting, but CTY is up in it, and he is caught inside the cogs. Too much damage coming on through, and King J gets hit by the cogs as well. Tried to flame break him out. I think he could have flame breaked him right back into the cogs maybe again, but wouldn't have been enough to bring him down, so unfortunately they do lose the bat. But C2Y tanky enough to be able to get on out of there and, yeah, bringing down the Magnus despite him using the RP.
Yeah, they will pick up the tower off this too. That was actually amazing Magnus play from Moo. It was really, really nice skewer timing and the RP timing. Completely nullified XTT's ability to position the fight where he wanted it. Instead, the fight was positioned exactly where Tongfu wanted it. I think with a little different positioning, VG could have taken that fight too, but instead, Tongfu picks up a tower off of it and a reasonable trade.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of the little back and forth there. They don't have as much going for them as far as ultimates, at least for the next maybe 60 seconds, but the big thing is they're bashing down these tier 1s, and by getting that kind of gold advantage, they're going to get major items on the bear, already looking towards his armlet in a very, very short future, and along with that, Sven is actually getting a lot of incidental gold as well, which is not to be underrated, based on the fact that they have gone for this AoE composition. If you get a great reverse polarity on Moo, you have the Gyrocopter's Flak, and later on Sancheng's Great Cleave to be able to follow it up, and that's just going to be amazing damage. Even if he's supportive, God's Strength still kind of making the impact, so it's going to be a nice opportunity when he can actually start showing what he's worth with his semi-carry-esque leveling.
Right, and the fact is, yeah, I mean, Hao is getting so big that soon he's going to be able to pressure these tier 2 towers very, very easily, even without help. And so it's just going to continue being a question of, can VG get the positioning they need? If they get the positioning they need and they continue to get these pickoffs, especially on the core heroes, I feel like they can continue giving ZSMJ a ton of space. If TF can just pick up some more towers, then you see VG start to get constricted into the position that they were in Game 1.
So there is going to be an initiation going on. They get the ultimate off on both. They drop the lasso, they drop the cogs. Yeah, sorry, not the cogs, but the hookshot. And of course they sniped this Invisrune, so Magnus going for it, but a lot of things in his way. And what should have been, quote, an easy rune, it's just great timing from Vici Gaming to punish Magnus from going out into the river.
And now Drum's up for CSMJ, which is a good start. It does give them that additional... He has been around for a surprising number of fights, so, you know, might as well get that item that contributes very well to your team fight, in addition to boosting your illusions.
Yeah, just kind of a little bit of heave-ho there with some nice durability, allow him to actually stay in the action a little bit here. And it kind of puts him a little bit more on terms with the gyro. I mean, the gyro does have the Aquila and phase boot, so a little bit more going in favor for him. But as a whole, I do really like the action from the ZSMJ kind of coming back. They are smoking in, pop the Warcry, the drum. They really, really want somebody here. Are they going to be able to close distance? FY looks like he's going to be dropped down. He has a call down, does throw it out the other way, forming a little bit of a Venn diagram here, but it's going to be a Venn diagram of death as we do see the Rubik dropping down in the midst of one of the meteors.
Definitely a Venn diagram of death. I mean, the speed that they have when they use the Warcry and the drums charges, I mean, everybody's just maxed, and so it's very difficult. I like this sort of pseudo 5-manning from Tongfu here, where they can just chase VG down due to their superior mobility with Warcry. Let's think about Sven. People think about him, about his auto attack damage, but as a support, just the fact that Warcry is so freaking good is really, really substantial, and you could see it in that fight. I mean, they got VG completely out of their own jungle. You can see that they've put wards up here again, so again they see what's going on here, and it's map control plus the kill.
Exactly. Just branching out a little bit forward and getting a little bit more control. Now getting the Blink Dagger on Magnus, Mu is going to be in a much better spot to get those mad RPs. I mean, he's looking in towards his level 11 as well, so that'll be higher impact, higher stun duration, and damage output. So that's going to be very, very vital for his playstyle as well. But the big thing is this Blink. Closing the distance and going, when the Bat Rider initiates on one of his allies, he has the full opportunity to counter-initiate. And when everybody clusters up, that's his perfect opportunity to get an easy 3-man RP. The big thing here is going to be whether or not the Rubik can steal it from there. Because, of course, you have to either cast Empower on yourself or drop down a Shockwave, something like that, to make sure that it's not going to be snapped up and there's still going to be a time frame that it's still possible unless you actually put the Rubik in the polarity itself.
Right. VG playing pretty smart considering, so they've moved the... You can see that immediately when they saw that this jungle was no longer safe, they sort of moved ZSMJ to the opposing jungle, going to try to get this tier 1, because this is not at all a safe area for PL to farm until they clear out this tier 1 tower. The thing is, we may see a major response from Tongfu. I think this next fight could be a huge deal.
Yeah, really big impact. They're doing, again, the smoke war cry, and not popping off the drum charge this time around, but they really want to get in quick, and they're going to jump on in, look for an opportunity. FY on the front line does get stunned out. That is not going to hit on ZSMJ, but there's that triple RP, quadruple RP. There's going to be a huge skewer and so much damage. Illuminate charge, the flat cannon going across. All they need to do is a simple right click to finish off ZSMJ, and my goodness, I was talking about that Blink Dagger on Mu, and we see it here, cleaning up the fight so convincingly, and XTT just barely getting away.
That fight was so painful, I think I have a respawn timer now. I mean, VG just got wiped off the map. Excellent RP. I mean, just a fantastic initiation from Mu. Actually, really we have to credit Sunshung setting up FY to start the fight a little earlier than VG wanted. So they were just about to peel FY back. And instead, he gets stunned. They bring the rest of the team in. Mu RPs everybody. And after that, they were done.
So Vici gave me sandwich right there. So just clustering them all together. That was very, very painful for them. CTY coming in a little bit early. These are staggered TPs skewering up to the north. There's a beautiful flame break splitting up everybody, but CTY is still going to be dropped down inside his own cogs. Another vacuum pulling on through into the call down. King J going to do a lot of damage, but ZSMJ answering back. There's going to be the lance. Should be enough to finish off the Keeper Light here. Flame break to pull him back into his own demise. And yeah, with that, we see the Lone Druid just hoofing it on away as quickly as possible. But they do turn it around for a couple of easy kills to make it 12 for 12.
That was a very nice fight put together by VG there. Again, CTY and XTT, man, they have a lot to carry, but they've been doing a pretty good job. So that could have been the end. I mean, if they had lost that fight, if CTY had died earlier, it's over, I think. It's GG in that instant. But instead, they managed to get the Gyrocopter and the Magnus, 2 critical kills. If they had gotten How, I would have said, like, just fantastic fight. Even as it is, that was very, very good. I think you highlighted the flame break.
Yeah.
The flame break positioning from XTT this game has been world class.
That last one, that was insane. Like, it split up everybody. All of the, like, 2 people got knocked off on the cliff on the other side. Just completely split apart this team fight. Clockwork should have been dead in seconds because of the staggered TPs, but the follow-up from XTT, they bounced one over here, one over there. It's just like a perfect star formation of everybody just being bounced. Particles going everywhere. I'm sure there's a quantum physics thing about that, but no, just really just controlling that position, knocking it down, hits in the perfect spot to split up the entire fight, and from there their damage focus was gone, and that's where the Phantom Lancer was able to follow up with the right click, and they had all their spells just wailing away. So really good movement there, and yeah, I gotta say that turnaround was well deserved from XTT on the back of XTT.
Absolutely. I think this game is a microcosm of how I see VG in general. Like, ZSMJ gets a ton of attention, but the fact is that it's usually players like XTT, CTY, and the support pair making the plays. In this case, FY and Fenrir are a little held back by the fact that I just feel like this Darkseer pick has done nothing for them. But XTT, oh man, FY getting completely picked.
Oh, very unfortunate there. They're just going on in. They will go for the hook on Sansheng here. Going to be able to do some damage to him. He's already taken some damage from that Napalm and from the Firefly. Urn going across. Right clicks. There's that Lance to finish the job. Using the illusion of Phantom Lancer to have vision to send out one more Phantom Lance to finish the job. Really good movement there. And they do get a return kill, which is very comparable. Rubik versus Sven, they're both supportive in this situation. But it's much more important to deny his gold income. However, we do see this gigantic RP coming out. ZSMJ might get away. No, yeah, he's getting forced out. He's going to be able to dodge away to the north. XTTT barely TPing out the vacuum, preventing some of the damage forthcoming. So they do actually get out with most of their lives. It was a really ambitious RP skewer, and they did immediately pick off the Clockwork, but fortunately they were able to get out with just about everything else.
That was a really good vac, and I'm surprised ZSMJ made it out of that fight alive, but a pretty big deal that he did. Uh-oh. I hope he doesn't get in trouble here. Come on, ZSMJ, get out of there, man. He actually had a nice little play in that fight. Like you said, using the 1PL illusion to get vision, and then lancing not from the east, but from the south through trees so they couldn't punish him. That was actually very, very neat. So nice little play, but they still have such a long road. Each of these individual big plays are, oh man.
They're going to get out of here. Just really, really quick kill on him. He was caught out in his druid form rather than his true form. No HP, no armor to work with. XTT finding a great opportunity to bring him down. Force Staff to pull him down rapidly into the cliff. There is going to be some counter push from this Illuminate to connect on all the creep wave, but dodging out with the heroes and RP still on cooldown here. The big thing about that ZSMJ failed to kill was the fact that they didn't have any detection on anybody but Sancheng, who had just been killed, so they actually couldn't bring him down as soon as he popped off that doppelwalk.
Right, but I mean, I expect Tongfu to resolve that fairly quickly. The bigger problem is that they are getting picked off on these core heroes.
And jumping out in CTY. Speaking of pickoffs, going right on Mu, he's going to be able to skewer right on out, but that leaves Sancheng in the mix of things. Already popped the God Strike, but he's going on the run, chasing down FY. There will be the stun, the and the right-click damage to finish him off here. Nice attempt from XTT, and actually might be able to bring down Gyrocopter. Too much damage from ZSMJ. Not even using the defusal yet. They're just going to be able to bring down both of them. XTT and ZSMJ slowing them to a crawl. Napalm stacks everywhere. Fire across that entire choke point. And man, oh man, all those illusions just right-clicking away.
Oh my god, Blaze, this game is getting crazy. That jump in from CTY, what that did was completely split the fight. It created two sub-fights, and Mu was in the wrong one.
Yeah.
You can't have your Magnus dueling a Clockwork, because it's just meaningless. Like, what, are you going to spend RP on a solo clock? Fenrir comes over, lands the critical vacuum to pick off the Magnus completely. Meanwhile, TF end up in an unfavorable trade near the Tier 1 tower. That was just such incredible individual play from VG here, completely carrying the fact that they got out-drafted and out-laned, and just, I cannot believe they're in this game, but just the amazing individual play from them. This game is really shaping up to be a monster, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the individual tactics, in case by case, it's really been taken away. I mean, I'm amazed that they got the Magnus. I didn't catch it on camera, of course, because there was the huge split in the engagement, but that's the whole point, is to keep damage to the Magnus. He can't blink to where he wants to be, and even though he was able to maneuver outside the cogs, they just were able to pin him down with that vacuum, as you mentioned. So a lot of potential there. We are going to see them be able to take the Roshan, but they've been falling behind in kills. They need this. If they didn't have the Roshan right now, it would be very, very bad indeed.
Yeah, that was a nice rush from Tongfu. They snuck that. That's very, very critical, because right now in the team fights, they're coming up short. They're losing too many people too early. So the Aegis of the Immortal up on King J, especially before he gets that BKB, is a huge deal for them. I really like that rush sneak. I think it's what they need to sort of try to get a little bit of control back in this game, which right now I feel like they're losing rapidly. I mean, sorry, they're losing control, not they're losing the game. I honestly still feel like they're a little ahead overall, strategically.
Yeah, I mean, they still have a lot of potential, especially Sven is going to be able to do more damage, and of course the Gyrocopter is getting that BKB, which is very, very essential in these kind of situations. There's so much damage coming out from all sides. They take down to Tier 2 very quickly, and there's not much to stop them here, which is kind of what you're talking about, but they're just going for a bit of split push. ZSMJ takes Tier 1, getting the last hit on that, sets him up for his next big item, which I'm assuming is some tank. Maybe going in for a Reaver straight up would probably be a good course of action to make sure that he can actually survive on through reverse polarity.
I think Heart first is probably what he has to do, simply because there is a fairly generous amount of cleave coming out just from King J, who has an Aegis. So I think they're going to need survivability on ZSMJ. Yeah, okay, so he's gone for the Vit Booster first, and I think that means he's going to go Fast Heart. The other option is casual Vit Booster and then damage, which could work too.
Yeah, it does have its potential either way. I mean, there's so much to be said about ranking up the Diffuser Blade or picking up a Manta, something along those lines. A lot of good balance between those different items here. We see yet another stack coming out from Mu, so they are going to get our attempted stack. It looks like it didn't take, but yeah, they are going on and just trying to make sure the Gyrocopter gets as much farm as possible so they can compete very directly and get some hard right clicks, maybe a Monkey King bar, to deal with all those illusions very, very quickly. And so King J is becoming pretty monstrous when it comes down to these team fights, but surprisingly, when you examine this the early game, it seems so weird to say it, but ZSMJ very far on top as far as net worth.
Yeah, I was going to say he has matched Tao in net worth after starting so low, and that's actually critical. In this game, VG will need that Phantom Lancer to be substantially ahead on net worth relative to the opposing cores to win. Like, they don't need him to just draw. They need him to actually be ahead, because otherwise there's too much cleave damage, there's too much damage in general for him to deal with. So what they're doing now, they have to continue doing it for about 10 more minutes without somehow losing. And that's a tall order, but so far they've been up to the task. But you can just see Tongfu, they know they can clear these outer towers, and that's what they're doing.
So this is actually the last outer tier tower. This is the last opportunity for them to just take advantage of how much just amazing damage the bear will put out. Later on, they can do it in the main base, but they're going to be sacrificing pretty much the entire bear if they try to do that. So at this stage, just at least picking off something for free, and also having them visual on Magnus so they can follow up. Now that the tower's been cleared, they're going in the RP onto 2 FY and CTY, but there's still a follow that can come on through. Bursting down the Rubik should fall here. He does indeed, but CTY is still up and kicking. Fenrir on the front end might be able to bring down Moo. They do drop down the gyrocopter to Aegis immediately. Moo in a very, very rough spot. Magic 1 keeps him alive for now. Is going to be able to break on through the trees despite all those illusions in the way. King J pops the BKB to flat cannon, doing a lot of right-click damage to everybody involved, but nobody dropping just yet. CTY entangled might drop to the bear itself, but he's going to pop off a Ghost Scepter, still going to drop down the Shockwave, and ZSMJ falls to the bear as well. Oh my goodness, the right-click damage from this thing. Now going in, they'll take down the tier 3 tower very, very quickly. ZSMJ pops his buyback, a lot of cash down the drain, but he has to use it in order to stay active here. That Aegis King J, once he got back up, he was able to deliver so much damage with the help of Lone Druid, and Fenrir comes in a little bit too early. The Flame Break splits things apart, but the Darkseer falls very, very quickly. And now CTY and XCT, oh no, they missed the hook shot. Now going on King J, he doesn't get the call. He does get the call down. Magic Wand, he will survive for now, but he has no lifesteal, so he will drop in the end. Either way, they've done a lot of damage to tier 3. They force out a number of buybacks. They just need to get out. Unfortunately, Banana being napalmed up, the Flame Break in 3 seconds. There's the stun coming in from the Rubik to finish the job here. So they do pick up a number of kills. But as a whole, Tongfu wins out for the damage they put on the tower, and most importantly, all these buybacks, particularly ZSMJs.
Yeah, they got 2 buybacks. The ZSMJ buyback is a huge deal because, like I said, his net worth has to be above. And he's not getting that. Wow, XTT still wants to chase this. That's remarkable.
Actually, Sancheng in a bit of a rough spot. He was farming the creeps, and unfortunately that means ZSMJ is going to be able to find him out. But it feels it does wear out, but there's that Flame Break, putting him in the perfect spot, right in proximity to ZSMJ, and of course a little Lance, a little right-click to finish the job there. XTT nice. On the ball.
Really nice Flame Break. One really rough thing that happened for VG in that fight, CTY actually used cogs to lock the bear so it wouldn't be able to hit the tower or hit them anymore, and he basically put his life in the hands of the Spirit Bear. One huge problem. ZSMJ was stuck in the cogs.
Yeah.
And as a result, the bear managed to pick up ZSMJ as well. I think if ZSMJ had been outside the cogs, they wouldn't have had to buy back the Phantom Lancer. And that's a huge deal. That's really unfortunate that that happened. You totally see what CTY was going for, but it actually ended up costing them a very substantial amount. Nonetheless, they're still holding on. I mean, that's the thing. It's always going to look bad for VG until they get that Phantom Lancer way ahead. Yeah. So just to hold on, to not lose your Raxes is critical for them right now. And this is the second time in a row that Tongfu's retreat has been sloppy. So in the last time, they won a huge fight in the Dire Jungle, pushed through to the Tier 2, and then weren't able to get away. And this is the second time. They pushed to the Tier 3 and then weren't able to get away.
Yeah, definitely the right intentions from CTY on the clock, occasioning the bear, as it were, but because he's the one with the Ghost Scepter, he's the only one who can actually stay inside the ring with him, and since the HMJ did get caught out, that is a big factor. That is a huge cash down the drain. I mean, he won't worry about the cooldown too much. I don't think he'll need it in the next 2 or so minutes, but the fact that he spent 900 some odd gold to get back up in the action is a bit of a setback. Fortunately for him, with his current GPM, that's 2 minutes of farm, and he'll be able to bounce back as best he can. Looking for his Manta style next. He's actually not going to be but 2k gold away if he does want to buy out for it, and why not, since it's on cooldown.
The thing is that their anti-push just isn't great, right? Like, they don't have that much to just clear a creep wave quickly. And that makes it difficult to deny Hao's Spirit Bear, which is getting very big. You can see he's at about 13k net worth. He's got the Maelstrom as well as the Hyperstone. There's 2 routes to go from here. You can just go directly to the Mjolnir, but far more likely he's just going to build out the full Cuirass. And that makes a bear that's very difficult to answer. That they can just sort of push with just the bear. Bear on the high ground, everybody on the low ground, and look for a skewer fish with the Magnus.
Yeah, a lot of potential there. Honestly, the item progression is going to get very advanced very, very quickly. We already see BKBs coming out, the 9-second BKB up on the gyro, 10-second BKB up on the Magnus. Not sure if that'll change the situation very much, but it still has its potential. And along with that, the BKB will come out for Sven. The Gyrocopter now looking for his Monkey King bar with that Demon Edge up. And, of course, I already mentioned the Manta style. So, a lot of big progression items. As far as mechanisms go, we only see one on Vici. No, Banana was able to pick up his as well. So, they do have it kind of back and forth. That evens it out just a little bit. And then Rubik going for the Force Staff. I think that's actually probably one of the most underrated of these different build-ups. Of course, BKB, very obvious. You have a giant Sven up in the action. But, picking up a Force Staff, very subtle, very high potential. If you steal a reverse polarity and you get a 600 movement boost right into the thick of things, you can completely turn things around, especially when you have the damage output of ZSMJ behind you.
Yeah, FY has been caught out positioning quite a few times too, so that Force Staff will be very key. It's actually much better than a blink for ZSMJ, no!
Oh, getting caught out. The reverse polarity, the call down, the right click will be enough to bring him down here, and that is bad. I was saying he might not need the buyback for that time period. It will come back up in 20 seconds, but he doesn't have the cash. He has been purchasing outright for the full Manta style. It's all in the Courier, and now doesn't have the chance to respawn, and I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of that. I mean, technically, he could, like, if they didn't know about what's on the Courier, they could assume he could buy back now, but at the very least, they're planning to pressure it, and when they see he's not coming up at all, they're just going to take the tier 3. The damage is really gone unless the wall replica is essentially perfect.
They don't have the wards. I mean, they got outwarded there by TF, and they completely saw that ZSMJ was farming the Ancients and just picked him off trivially.
Oh, there's a fish. They catch out CTY and FY. Oh my goodness, the lasso comes on in. Moo picked off, but he's already popped off his payload. He drops that big reverse polarity. Now some call down on the replica. They take another tier 3. They can walk around the wall. They can wait out the wall. Either way, they're going to do the damage to the racks here. And yeah, this is just so painful. That was an amazing skewer. That was unaided. 100%. He just finds both of them from the high ground, drops them down. That is just ridiculous from Moo.
Excellent play from Moo there, and that's a set of racks. The game is not over, because I don't think they can put another set of racks down in that time, but it's a huge loss for VG there. You get one lane in which your PL will no longer be able to effectively farm. You have to delegate your attention to that lane. It splits up the map, so the mid will always be pushed in. It's one of the worst lanes to sort of have to deal with, just because it's, you know, always bisecting your map. It's a huge loss, but they're not out of it, honestly. What they need to do is make sure that never, ever, ever, ever happens again that PL gets caught out like that.
Yeah, honestly, they cannot afford it in the slightest here. Now we do see King J about 800, 700 away from the Monkey King bar. The Manta style, like I said, is in full for ZSMJ. He has that available, but the problem is, of course, that means he is low on funds, at least for the moment. Along with that, you can build up as many illusions as you want, but if they have the flat cannon active, they're going to be taken down in about 3 shots. Like, there's just not too much health on them right now, because the vitality booster isn't strength, it's just raw HP, and that doesn't scale to illusions whatsoever. So, right now, he definitely needs that hard up if he's going to be able to actually keep them up and active, because Phantom Lancer is one of those heroes where has the highest potential damage output when all the illusions are active, actually the highest. But when you are only sitting on 1 or 2 illusions, or none at all, then you're really not doing much more than any other right clicker.
And King J has had a very good game. I mean, he's found farm, even though, like, you can just see the farming efficiency for Tongfu. One guy with 187 and a guy with 152 last hits. And what that's bought King J is a pretty quick Demon Edge that is going to make into an MKB pretty soon, just to keep ahead of that curve, the curve of outgoing AoE damage to Phantom Lancer illusion HP. And as soon as that MKB lands, I think even now, like, they're ahead on that curve, and that's a very, very important spot to be in. Tongfu just had a weird mid-game, but you can just see them pulling together as a team and playing extremely well. If they find pickoffs here, they might just get more Raxes.
Yeah, this is going to be big. Jumping on in, the bear almost connects with the Batrider, but he does get the blink away just barely. Now the Assault Cross is finished up on the Spirit Bear, and VC Gaming doesn't even have a Basilius. Like, they are sitting on their Mechanism Aura, Armor Aura, and that's it. So Rubik is going to be sitting here at only 4, 6 when the Mechanism's popped, but that'll be completely taken out by the Assault Cross, and yeah, that's just so painful. The physical damage from King J is going to be ridiculous, and he might even get an Aegis here if he does decide to sell one of his cheaper items. There's Magic Wand gone. So second life on the Gyrocopter. The XCT coming on with the BKB. Pops off the last one. King J. Here we go. The RP connecting onto CTY. There's Fenrir taking a lot of damage, barely gets the mechanism off to run on out. ZSMJ with the Mantum, that cleaned up very, very quickly, and they just have to run. They don't have any other option. Call down almost, yeah, he's going to get the slow on ZSMJ, and there's actually the potential to bring him down. Nice usage of the defusal, get on out of there, but, oh, King J dropping low, 16 HP, but this homing missile is gonna ring true, and this might be the death of ZSMJ once more, and that is something they just couldn't afford.
They have no buyback for ZSMJ. He didn't get enough gold before that engagement. And I think Tongfu are going to try to just lop off the head of VG right here. Jump through the mid, the open, and they say P, so they need to pause, I guess. Oh, actually, they have a disconnect. Fenrir is disconnected. But no, they call the GG.
Yeah, they know that even if he was up and at him, there wasn't really anything that could be done about it. So, very, very unfortunate circumstances. They got a decent wall replica, so it wasn't really lag during that time period or anything. But no, it was just that unfortunate peck at the very end. ZSMJ, his death kind of was the nail in the coffin, the last straw there. He has dropped down only a few times this game, only 4 times in total, but every single one has been a crucial death. Dropping down in the cogs, dropping down on the ancients, dropping down just recently. It means that he has to either buy back or more often is just not able to defend the base. And when they don't have the damage, when they have the disable, they have the setup. They have the cogs, vacuum, lasso, whatever you bring to the table, you need that right click. And unfortunately, that's just something they didn't have to offer with ZSMJ getting dropped down there. So very, very unfortunate. They pulled it through to a very competitive game before when the laning phase it looked like Tongfu just had too much control. Sansheng riding the Darkseer all game long and controlling 3 versus 2 on the bot lane. It was really, really impressive what Tongfu was able to accomplish in the lane, but with some great play from VC Gaming, they at least made it a very, very back and forth.
Yeah, considering how much I feel like they were outdrafted and outlaned, because I feel like they could have configured their lanes differently and done okay. Like something like Bat Rider against the Lone Druid, just try to configure different matchups. Considering that, they did remarkably well. Like, if you think about how much Fenrir was completely shut out of the game early, and how ZSMJ wasn't able to farm at all in the first 9 minutes of the game, VG performed extremely well. And in the end, I suspect ZSMJ is going to get a lot of criticism across both the Chinese netizens and here for his play, especially late in that game. And he did get caught out, but you have to understand that Phantom Lancer in that situation has to play greedy. He doesn't have an option, because again, he has to somehow outfarm 2 heroes on the opposing team. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you just don't get it. I think it speaks more to the fact that PL was an odd choice in this game. Yeah. I think they went for the sort of familiarity, like, oh, I remember being amazing on this hero, more so than something that would actually work that well. And in the end, Tongfu, they made some mistakes in the middle that VG punished with terrifying force, but in the end, just their overall strategic perspective on the game let them take the victory that I would have been shocked if they hadn't gone.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the Phantom Lancer Rubik lane, it's questionable decision as far as their overall strategy, and obviously punished here. But yeah, another thing came down to vision. The aspect of in that mid to late game, they didn't really have that much control of what was coming. I don't even think that Ancient Gank was smoked. It was just jumping in, blink initiation. And so they had the vision, and of course Vici Gaming did not. So unfortunate for them, but I still have to give my MVP to XTT for some amazing flame breaks, making this game what it was. I mean, 8-2 and 10. He did amazingly well, but of course Mu on the Magnus is the one that has the last word in the end. So well played to Tongfu, definitely showing us why they got that invitee spot for the international and replaced when LGD China dropped out. But yeah, really, really awesome gameplay from them, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them in the near future, and of course at the international later on. So awesome opportunity to cast this up here, the Dota 2 Super League. Thank you guys so much for tuning on in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the commentary. If you guys want to check us out as casters, I myself am Blaze. You can check me out at twitter.com/blazecasting. I also have YouTube and Twitch under the same extensions. And with that, Vikromond has his own website. It's a blog as VYKROMOND. Is it .com?
Yeah, .com.
And then, of course, has other different things like Twitter and Twitch under the same name. So just Google it. You'll find all that cool different media to stay on top of what we're covering in the near future. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Awesome to be able to bring this to BTS2 while they're doing some Eastern qualifier stuff. I'm going to go ahead and put up the live stream of the Chinese stream for the conclusion of this event here for today, because this was just the best of 3, and then I myself am going to check out the Eastern qualifiers and see what's going on over there. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was an honor to cast for you guys, and awesome to cast with you, Vikromon.
Yeah, you too, Bliss. Thanks so much for the opportunity. Thanks, BTS, and yeah, check out the Primary Beyond the Summit stream for some hot qualifier action. I think it's Rattlesnake for his first departure.
Cool. See you guys on the next game. I'll definitely be casting up maybe tomorrow, but definitely in a couple days. So catch you guys on the Super League that time around. Anyways, thanks for tuning on in.